Yeah. So when you send an email, when you cold call a customer for the first time, don't get anybody on the phone, and then you want to follow up with them with an email. Correct?
Right.
What are you doing right now?
I was just summarizing, what what I'd stated on the phone, and then, went from there, like, and a couple of times I said, hey, I just reached out to you, left you a voicemail. And I thought to myself, well, they probably know that if you just put up in the category on the top of the email, follow up to voicemail or something like that instead, or has that not really been responsive for you?
No, I have no problem with following up with an email and then using the subject line for that purpose versus text of the email, right?
Okay.
I want the text of the email to be as precise with as few words as possible and to get to the point as directly as possible.
Okay.
So I don't mind using the subject line for that. Plus, the subject line itself, like that, is a very tailored. You're giving a very real subject line, right? You're not trying to
Right.
fluff it or catch their attention. Plus, it's just not blending into the mix then. So
Okay.
then the nice thing about that is you're kind of tapping into two different types of psychology or from a prospect point of view, because some prospects will never answer the phone. Some don't want to take the time to listen to a voicemail. Some prefer email or any cross ratio of any of those, right?
Okay.
Now, as far as the actual content of the email, I would be more hesitant to say exactly what I said in the voicemail, because if they are the type of person who heard a voicemail and now you're just regurgitating that in written form, that's not going to be effective, right?
Right.
So
They'll say redundant, annoying, or whatever. Right.
exactly, yeah. And I've had those before, and I've had people call me and leave me the touching base email voicemail. Hey, Derek, this is John Manley. I just wanted to call and touch base with you, see if there's anything on your plate, on your desk, any back orders, any end of month, quarter project solution pain points that I can deal with for you, blah blah blah. Then they email me, hey John, hey Derek, this is John. Just wanted to call, email and touch base with you, follow up, see if there's any project back orders, solutions at a quarter, end of year that I could follow up with. Literally like verbatim, right? And that's not good.
I just think that when if a prospect or someone that was potentially going to do business with you heard that touching base phrase or anything like that,
Right,
or it is what it is, or any of those sort of things, that it's
right.
kind of like a nothing burger. Like they just would turn off. It's a quick way to down the volume, as opposed to turning up the volume.
Right, exactly. You're using generic filler words instead of giving them something that's actually substantial, right? It's like basically the same substance as if I walk into a gas station and ask the clerk how they're doing, right? I'm just
Right.
being, it's just the same level of filler. I'm just being polite. I don't really care. I'm not trying to be rude here, but I don't care how the stranger in the gas station's day is truly going. I hope you're going well, but I don't want to hear about it, right?
Right.
They start
Right.
telling me their personal story. I'm like, geez, man, it was just kind of filler. It's just social norm here is all we're doing. So there is no point.
Niceties. Right.
Right, niceties, right. So there's no point in using any of that filler gap stuff, especially because in an email or voicemail point of view, initially they're giving you about 10% of their attention, and they're looking for a reason not to give you any of their attention, right? They're looking for a reason to just move forward. So let's make sure that we give them something substantial. So I would say you have been working on a list of having 5 reverse engineered pain points that are going to be in your mind the most common pain points with procurement, with the IT manager or procurement person that you're targeting. And
Right.
you have those 5, and then you're going to use a number 1 in your voicemail. And number 1 for you right now, tell me what your number 1 is.
Yeah. So the number one is, the lack of response pain point. That is probably the strongest, the number one, the one I've been using the most. Okay. And so, that goes something like this, hi, John, this is Derek. The reason for my call today, directors that I work with, specifically over my 19 years, they appreciate when they have a technology request, I get back to them, not in days, not in hours, but in minutes on a technology request. That is something that you look for in a technology provider: reliability, response back, turnaround time on requests, less hassle, less frustration. I look forward to the opportunity to talk with you.
Perfect. I like how you laid it out. You gave them the most powerful point that they're probably feeling that's going to get them to break status quo with the current vendor. And you
Right.
highlighted that as number 1 and made that the entire essence of your email or your
Okay.
voicemail,
Right.
which is awesome.
Okay.
The only thing I would just personal preference at the end, I tweak. is I just give them a time frame. So if I don't hear back from you, I understand that's no worries, but I'll contact you back in 3 days, something like that. Give them a time frame for when you're going to circle back to them. Don't give them the pressure to call back, because they're not going to most likely anyway.
So tell me that delivery again. If I don't hear back from you,
right? If I don't, normally I'll say something like, if I don't hear back from you, no worries, I completely understand. I'll circle back. Or I shouldn't say circle back. I don't know why I use that term. If I don't hear back from you, I understand. I will call back on Thursday, generally Thursday. I'll call back Thursday morning and see if we can sync up then, or something similar to that.
I see. Okay.
I don't know why I said circle back. I've been reading too much junk lately.
No, that's okay.
Should never say something like that. Stuff gets in your brain. You read all these emails and voicemails and stuff that people get. I just wanted to touch base, circle back, check in, sync up, and synergize with you a little bit and see if I can get any of your money.
And I know you're not there, and it is what it is, but.
Exactly. It's one. Maybe if we can't have an in-depth talk, maybe we can just have a 30,000-foot overview. Really hitting some of the key points in my PowerPoint.
That's right.
So from a voicemail perspective, I love it. From a 0.1 perspective, that's a great, smooth voicemail. I liked how direct it was. I like the point that you talked about what's important to them, not to you. And you're explaining your value without trying to convince them of anything. So if this is what you're looking for in a vendor, and you're not getting it currently, let's have a conversation and talk about this in more depth. Now, as far as a email follow-up to that,
right.
If I am going to make a reference to that point, to point number one, I'm going to make it a quick reference to that point.
Okay.
I'm going to utilize point number two as my primary in the email. So point being, I would say, if you're going to follow up, subject line can be following up from voicemail. Email, actual body of the email could be like, Derek just left you a voicemail. As I mentioned, the number one reason IT folks in your position appreciate working with me is speed and reliability. And then build into point number two. What's number two for you right now? What's your second point?
So number two I have is lack of communication. 2 and 3, I had thought about these last evening and wrote these. These are not as strong. 3, I think, is kind of this. I have an edge 3. So 2 is lack of communication, and 3 I have is lack of stability.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about number two first, because lack of communication is very, very important, and it segues from number one very beautifully. So if you're starting off your email to follow up to the voicemail and you say, the number one reason IT directors appreciate working with me is speed and communication and proactive communication, right? Now I'm just segueing into number two. What do I mean by that is, one, you'll get a response from me in minutes. 2, when you do get an answer, a response, a quote, a configuration, I'd use less words than this, so hone it down, but I'm giving you examples.
Right.
If you get communication from me, you're never going to be surprised with unexpected back orders, things going end of life, end of support. I manage and track all renewal support contracts. Point being, I make sure that everything flows smoothly. You never have to follow up on anything, and you never have any unexpected surprises. That's what I mean by proactive communication.
I see. Okay.
But that builds beautifully off point number one. They segue right into each other. And then point number 3 that you made,
lack of stability,
lack of stability, right? Because reps coming and going, people leaving jobs, stuff like that, right? So geographical reassignment, et cetera, things like that. So one thing you can reference is the fact that you've been doing this for 19 years. Another point that you can reference is, I'm not looking to work with you for a month, 3 months, or a year. I'm looking to position myself as an expert resource for you that you will always have for the rest of your career. Understand that it's time consuming to start working with a new company and a new rep. So I'm not looking to work with you for 1 month or 3 months. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm consistent, reliable. The term I like to use, I say this exactly to a customer, the term I like to use is a 30-year mindset. I work with the same customers that I've had since 2006, and I look to position myself as an expert resource for you for the rest of your career, is how I word it.
Wow, that's great.
Because now we're addressing those 3 things. So then I would just rotate. So then on your next voicemail that you leave that person, you call them back Thursday morning, like you said you're going to, you miss them. You can make a short, quick reference to the fact that you are contacting them again or looking to contact them again. And then I would jump into point number 3 or at that point, because now we hit number 1 and number 2 on the first go around. Now we're going to hit number 3. And then when you follow up with an email, you can either give them a summary of those 3, right? Point,
Okay.
point. Or you can hit on number 4. Number 4 would kind of be more of an overarching, so far we hit speed, communication, and essentially long-term availability or long-term consistency, right?
Right.
What do you have for number 4 so far? Do you have a number 4?
No, I don't have a 4. I just had those 3.
Okay.
I know that you did mention, I picked what I thought would be the strongest 3, the reps coming and go, going. Okay. I guess geographical reassignment is kind of part of
that falls under number 3.
3, right? But not being upfront when pricing, that might be lack of communication, right?
So it can fall under communication. Now, what I say for pricing is, if we get into the topic at all, is I will give you my best cost up front. So you don't need to go back and forth with me. If I'm slightly high on something versus somebody else, which is going to happen, I'm slightly high. I'm going to give you my best cost up front. That being said, I've been in this industry for a very long time. I understand the different promotional strings to pull with the manufacturers, end of quarter, end of year, territory goal. Point being, I'm going to work every avenue possible to give you the best cost up front. But we don't need to go back and forth beyond that. I do that for your efficiency's sake, so you don't have to ask me, can you lower the cost a little bit? I understand the need for speed and efficiency, and we'll just do everything right up front for you.
Right.
I even make a joke on there sometimes when I'm talking about price. When I say that, if I'm high on a project, say I'm coming $50 high, that's going to happen. I'm not going to be your cheapest vendor or supplier all the time, but I'm always going to give you a consistent price. But a lot of stuff is commodity, and if you don't really care where that specific thing comes from, I'm not going to beat we build computers out of our basement.com. They're going to be lower in cost than I am. But the reason you'll appreciate working with me, so as an example, for sourcing your end user machines and computers, is I know all the different leading options for your industry from Dell, HP, Lenovo. I know the standard configurations. We can do imaging, tagging, things to speed up procurement or deployment for you. I'm going to make sure that you get a really rock solid configuration that works perfectly for your environment. Okay. But yeah, I highlighted the point, kind of made a joke about it at the same time, admitted the fact that we're not going to be the cheapest on commodity stuff all the time, but then also circled back to the real reasons they're going to benefit working for me. Of course, we have to have a validation of cost competitiveness, but more importantly than that, that's not why they're going to break status quo. They're not going to break status quo with their current vendors just to give me an opportunity to pay the same price. They're going to give me an opportunity because they're going to appreciate the value that I provide on top of a solid price. Yeah,
speed, effectiveness, efficiency.
Exactly. And that kind of ties into number 4, which is technical, say, acumen, technical ability, technical knowledge, right? Because this is also a weak spot with VARs in general in our industry, is that the reps themselves don't necessarily know much about technology or licensing of software or support. And you might not be technical in all these areas either, but what you have is you can be armed with preset list of questions that are quick categorically based, so that if you get into a Microsoft licensing question, a customer says, Derek, I have to talk to you about Microsoft Open Business or Open Value licensing, you can refer to your Excel or your cheat sheet on that and walk through that conversation. So my point here is technical knowledge and ability. And what do I mean by that is speaking personally, I can pretty much walk through any technical conversation on the fly. Of course, always things have to be verified with technology, but point being, we can walk through that conversation, get a really good feel for what you're doing from a pain point level, what you're looking to solve, and then we can make sure we give you the perfect solution. A lot of the other vendors, ours out there in the country, they don't know. A lot of the reps, there's good reps and bad reps at every company, but a lot of the reps don't know anything about technology, or they don't know anything about Microsoft licensing, and they don't have any cheat sheet to reference if they get into a conversation. So the person's like, hey, I want to talk to you about Microsoft licensing. They're like, oh, well, let me see if I can get my Microsoft person on the phone. So I would make that point number 4, is technical ability or knowledge. I have the technical knowledge and resources that whatever topic, problem, pain point you're going to, want to discuss with me, we can walk through that conversation, figure out exactly what we're looking to solve, the primary pain point you're doing, and then come back with you with a validated solution, the best industry proven solution for what you're looking to solve.
Perfect.
It's a good, confident line that shows your ability to gather critical information to then validate that, because nobody expects you to know everything with technology. It's impossible. I've been doing this for 14 years and I run into stuff all the time that I have no clue the correct way to ultimately come up with the perfect solution, right?
Right. So many families, so many products, so many brands.
Oh, there's so much. It's infinite, and technology is constantly evolving and changing. But what I can do very confidently is that I know how to, ask the question necessary to get the correct information to then come back to them with the best option or options for them to review.
Okay.
So that's what I use as number 4.
Perfect. Now, one additional. So after you get to 4, for instance, and you're going through an overall arching summary, then at that point, is it time to move on, or is it you let it rest and you try and recycle it again, go through the cycle in a few months?
It depends on the target customer. If I'm talking just a general lead, like a general, I don't know this company, I don't know anything, I don't really know of their existence beyond, I pull them off a lead source and I'm just trying to call them.
Right.
I am going to, this is about where I run into a cap, is how many times I'm going to reach out to somebody initially.
Okay.
At this point, I'm going to pause them, especially with things like COVID right now. So I'm going to pause them, and I'm not going to delete them off my list, but I am going to pause them right now, and then I'm going to start coming back to them in about 4 to 6 weeks. Because maybe they're, especially in the summertime with COVID, things like that, maybe they're out of the office, maybe they're working from home, maybe they're on vacation, maybe it's project month, budget month, whatever it is, right?
Right.
And I'm going to wait for that kind of cycle to repeat itself. Now, the nice thing about that is if I contact them a month from now, if my message did not resonate with them because maybe they didn't even hear it, they didn't notice it, right? There's no redundancy. I'm not just calling and spieling the same thing at them. And if my message did resonate with them, then I'm just reinforcing what they found valuable, that they intended to call me back on a month ago, but they just didn't have the opportunity to do so. And now they have more of a validated reason to actually take time to talk with me at this point.
Right. Okay.
Right. So either they don't remember me or they do remember me. Either way, it doesn't hurt me.
Right.
Now, when you do get them on the phone and you do highlight those points, and you go through number 1, number 2, and see where they really resonate with and what they strike on. So if they tell you, so get me on a cold call real quick, and let's walk through this really quick. So act like you're calling me real quick.
Hi, John. This is Derek Dunn for your technology VAR. I was reaching out to you regarding what I do for clients and the responsiveness. What I've seen over my 19 years of experience, they appreciate that I get back with them in minutes. Not hours, not days, but minutes on a technology request. And if that's something you appreciate in a technology provider, I'd love an opportunity to talk with you more in depth. And this is sometimes where I get stuck. Sometimes they'll say, and I'm pausing it for a second. Sometimes they'll say, okay, send me some information. Or they'll say,
right. If they say, let's address that really quick, to send me the information, right?
Okay. The whole feeling of needing to fill the void, right? Needing to fill the void when you get somebody real responsive,
Yeah. Let's talk about both of those points. So let's talk about the common rejection of, go ahead and send me some information, right?
Right.
Because that's a very common one, and I like that one. Derek, happy to absolutely send you some information, but I don't want to just send you generic information that's going to mean nothing to you. So what is most important to IT directors that I work with in your position now is, like I said, responsiveness, communication, being reliable. Let me ask you, are these the areas that I just circle right back. Are these the most important areas that you're looking for in a vendor today?
Right.
Because I said, I don't want to send you generic. I acknowledge their request to send them information. I didn't tell them no. I said, happy to send you information. I don't want to send you generic information that won't mean anything to you. I don't want to send you a sales email. So I just acknowledged their request. I didn't disapprove of their request. I said, okay, happy to oblige with what you're asking me. But that being said, I don't want to waste your time. So I want to give you good information. I'm not going to push you, because I'm not going to push and say, can you tell me about your environment? Because they're not ready to do that. They just tried to reject me, right?
Right.
So I just reiterated very quickly. I just recircled right back to that. Absolutely happy to send you information, Derek. I don't want to send you a generic sales email, though. So it really helps me to understand what's most important to you. I know with IT directors like yourself that I've worked with for the last 19 years, the more important value that they appreciate from me is speed, reliability, consistency, technical ability. Point being an expert resource for them when they need to deal with a vendor. Are these the things you're looking for when you're dealing with a vendor for a technology? And I push back on that exact same point, because now I'm more likely they're not going to give me this. If they are going to give me the same answer, yeah, go ahead and send me some information. They're just blowing me off and they're not hearing me anyway. Bad timing, no interest, no need, not resonating with what I'm saying here, already happy with the current vendor. Point being, they're not checked into the conversation. If they are at all an ideal prospect, either they have a need, they're not currently satisfied. Now I've repeated myself twice. I've repeated the same value statements to them twice without wasting words. I said, and I rejected their notion that most salespeople are going to accept of just sending them a blind generic sales email. I now have their attention, and they've now heard what I said. So now instead of having 10% of their attention, I agreed with what they said with an unexpected response and then reiterated what I said. So instead of the first time they heard about 10% of what I said, the second time they heard about 60% of what I said. Right? And then I asked them, the one thing you didn't ask in your presentation, you said, if these are the things you're looking for, let's have a conversation or let's have a chat. Ask them, are these what you're looking for in a vendor? So instead of saying, if these are the things you're looking for in a vendor, let's talk, are these the things you're looking for with an IT vendor? Ask them the question, get them to respond to you. Because once somebody has to respond, they have to engage. And in order to engage, they have to think about what you just said so they can give you an answer.
Right.
And now I have their attention shifted from 10% to 60 or 70%.
Okay.
Right. And if they give me, at that point, if they give me some sort of, generic answer, yeah, of course, those are really great things. We can sense off their tone, are they giving me a really generic answer? Are they still really checked out? Or are they actually starting to bite a little bit on though? Because if I feel that they're actually starting to bite a little bit, if their current vendor is not doing the level of service that you prefer them to do, let's have a conversation right now. Can I talk for 2 minutes? It gives me kind of a segue in their mind where I'm connecting the dots, where they feel now, yeah, let's fine. Let's talk for a minute.
Okay. So is your current vendor providing the level of service which you are expecting?
Right, that you're hoping for, that you're expecting, right?
Expecting, hoping for, okay.
If they are, I completely understand. It's rare to be in great hands with a vendor, as you know, and I'm not going to ask you to change anything that already works great for you.
Right.
But if they're not, that's why my customers in IT in your position really love working with me, is because I focus on old school customer service to make sure that you are getting absolutely exceptional service for any request, big or small. You mind if we talk for a couple more minutes? And so now if I get a yes, which you normally will at this exact juncture of time, yeah, sure. Yeah, fine, sure. Yeah, I can spare a minute. Derek, I appreciate that. Thank you. I know you were not expecting my call. The next phase, or the next stage that I like to do is show you that I work exactly like I said I work, prove myself to you. And the way that I prove myself to you is, let's try something low risk, commodity SKU driven, point being something that you could buy off Amazon if you wanted to do so. If you don't mind me asking, what do you guys standardize on for your end user machines, for your end user computers? Dell, HP, Lenovo, we use Dell. Perfect. You use Dell, you probably use something like an Optiplex 7070, i5, 8 gigs, 256, 3-year warranty. Doesn't matter if I'm right, doesn't matter if I'm wrong. If I'm right, they're like, oh, wow, you got it right on. If I'm wrong, they tell me what I'm using. No, we use an i7 with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig solid state, and we use 3-year Pro Support. Excellent. I appreciate that. Here's what I'm going to do, Derek, is at the end of the day today, I'm going to put together a really quick, precise email. I'm going to include my information on there, and I'm also going to include a standard configuration quote for you just so you can do an easy cost comparison. More importantly, though, the real reason you're going to appreciate utilizing me for Dell, the fact that you request a quote, I'm going to have it back to you in minutes. It's going to be a proven configuration. You're not going to be surprised by end of life, end of support, et cetera, things like that. One pain point you might have felt with Dell is geographical reassignment or reps coming and going. As I alluded to earlier in the conversation, I don't look to work with you for 6 months, 12 months. We never reassign or move reps around. I'm looking to position myself as an expert resource for you for the rest of your career. I'll send you an email at the end of the day. Does that sound okay? Did I miss any information that you'd like to talk about right now? It's a nice summary question to end the call. At the end of the day, I put together a summary email very short, very precise, thanking them for resonating or appreciating the value that I focus on with speed, reliability, communication, whatever 3 points I want to make, but I give it as a summary. Derek, it was a great talk with you today. Happy to hear that you really appreciate what I focus on with, speed and getting back to you in minutes, giving your best cost up front, whatever you felt most resonated with this prospect.
Okay.
Include the summary configuration. You mentioned that you use these specs for your Dell. I attached a configuration for you. By the way, maybe I was able to use this promotion or that promotion to apply, because I know it takes a little time and effort to set up a new vendor in your system. And then also I send them a second email at the end of the day with a personal video thanking them for the opportunity to talk with them. It's a non-salesy email. It's a personal connection. I do it at the end of the day, normally at about 9:55 at night. I want them to understand I'm taking time away from my family, to personally thank them with a video for the opportunity to talk with them, and that I'm looking forward to working with them. It's not part of my 2:30 in the afternoon sales routine where I just send this out to every single person that I talk to, and it's just generic and unthought of. Derek, I was about to go, hang out with my kids before bed, but I was very thankful for the opportunity to talk with you, excited that you appreciate the value that I bring as an IT vendor, and I just wanted to take a minute before going to bed tonight to send you a personal quick thank you video. Looking forward to working with you moving forward. And that's it. That's the whole video. They've never received a thank you video like that in their entire life. It's the first one they've ever gotten. The reason I do it at 9:55 at night with IT people specifically is they're always prone to check their email before bed to see if anything is burning down in the data center. Most likely they're going to see my email as the very last thing they see before bed. So it's a personal thank you video that they've never received before in their entire career, re-highlighting the points that they really appreciated working with me for. And it's the last thing they see before they go to sleep.
Oh, wow.
It works beautiful wonders. And then, most of the time you're going to get a response off of that email. I've never received a personal thank you video before. That was pretty cool. Or some sort of equivalent response to that. Because it's not a salesy thing. It's not anything. I didn't ask for anything. I'm going to segue into using that line. When I say I'm not asking for anything, always make sure you avoid the phrase, I'm not looking to sell you anything.
Right.
Don't ever say that when you're a salesperson, because you are.
Right.
And it's just a blatant lie. If you say, sorry, I didn't mean to bother you, I'm not looking to sell you anything. It drives me crazy when people say that. If you want to say something similar to that, what I tell people is I'm not looking to convince you of anything. I position myself and I explain my resources and my value and my expertise to you. See if it resonates with you. See if you're not getting it from your current vendor today. If you're not, let's talk. If you are, I understand. I'm not looking to convince you to do anything. I'm not looking to convince you to change anything that already works today. But if those things that you're doing today are not as good as you want them to be, then it's going to benefit you to allocate a few minutes to this conversation.
Wow. Okay.
And that works beautifully. It's a very stark difference of communication. The difference between saying I'm not looking to sell you something and the difference of saying I'm not looking to convince you of anything. Because it's not our job to convince people of anything. I convince nobody of anything. I never try. I don't try to sell anything to anybody. But that's a difference than them trying to sell anything, right?
Right.
I never call anybody looking to sell them or trying to convince them to buy something. I connect with people and position myself as a resource that when they do need to buy something, they know they can trust and rely on me as the best resource possible to make that purchase an easy thing to do. Cool. So any questions there?
No, you covered it. I need to internalize this and think this through on 2 and 3 and 4. I thought 1 was pretty overall.
1 is spot on.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it's just a matter of number 1 was spot on. Number 2, you had well crafted, and then number 3 and number 4 you can now put your kind of finalized touch on.
Perfect.
Personalize it for you, and then you kind of just have that rotation that you do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're good. So I hope that helps. Like I said, I recorded this too, so I'll post this up for you to be able to see if that helps as well. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'll take you you'll send it to me and I'll just save it so I can rewatch it and listen and build the program. Yeah, that'd be perfect, man. Enjoy your day. Thanks so much, Sean. Thanks again. You're welcome, Derek. Bye. Bye-bye.